Hey guys, on your screen you will see a bright yellow screen and it says taking action. So we're going to jump into our new textbooks in Unit 1, and you should be on page 1 and you can kind of follow along. I have my teacher copy here in front of me and you can follow along in your student copy, so in your student workbook. So first of all, I want to talk to you about our essential question. And I think there's a little intro video, so I'm going to scroll to it, and I'm going to play this, and you guys can watch along with me.
Hi folks, welcome to Bring Your Bravest, where contestants tell their bravest tale, and the audience decides, bold or not so bold. Contestant 1, bring your bravest.
Last summer, I went on my first 3-day backpack trip with my aunt. It was a little scary sometimes, but it was a true adventure.
And the audience says, bold! Hi, contestant 2, bring your bravest.
Last night at the open mic, I actually got on stage. I totally choked in the middle, but I finished the song.
The audience gives you a bold rating. Contestant 3, what's your bravest?
Well, mine's not like the others.
Go ahead, number 3. We're listening.
I guess I decided just to be myself. Like, I'm going to start speaking up more and asking for help when I need it. And I'm not going to be afraid to try new things, even if they scare me. I guess I'm going to just bring my bravest every day. Starting now.
And the boldometer nearly explodes, ladies and gentlemen. Well, folks, all 3 contestants are big winners today. Maybe we'll see you next time on Bring Your Bravest.
What helps people rise up to face difficulties?
All right, so that is our essential question for Unit 1. What helps people rise up to face difficulties? What is it that keeps people going and gives them courage in the face of challenges? So each story that we read, we're going to ask ourselves, what helped that person to rise up and face that challenge? So first of all, let's break down this question a little bit so that we make sure that we understand what it means. So rise up means to face or confront or deal with a challenge. Okay? You're going to rise up to it. You're going to face it. Difficulties mean things that are hard to do, and we all face those things in life. And then effective, from the quote that we're getting ready to get into, means successful. So if you are effective, you are successful. All right, so this quote, we're going to go back up. It is the most effective way to do it is to do it. And that's a quote by Amelia Earhart. I'm sure you've heard that name before. Amelia Earhart lived from 1897 to about 1937. She was an American aviation pioneer, so she flew airplanes. And in the 1940s or the 1930s, there were not a lot of women who did that. And she was the first woman to fly all by herself across the Atlantic Ocean. She wrote lots of books about her flying experiences, and she founded the 99s, which is a groundbreaking organization for female pilots. So she made kind of like a club for other women who like to fly planes. So she says that the most effective way to do it is to do it. Jump in feet first and get it done. I think that I would have to agree with that. The best way to be successful is to put yourself out there and to try it, right? To be your bravest every day. So another thing I want to talk about real quick is this growth mindset before we get into academic vocabulary. So if you don't think that you're able to do better, you're not going to be able to do better. If you think you're bad at math, you're going to be bad at math. So this growth mindset is all about having confidence in yourself and believing that you can do big, great things that you can do better. So I want you to start this school year out, and I know we're starting out in a very different way, but I want you to believe that you can do anything that you put your mind to, because you can. I wanted to be a teacher. I knew that I could do that in my mind, and here I am. I'm doing it. You can do the same thing. Is it going to be difficult at times? Is it going to be challenging? Absolutely. But you can do anything that you put your mind to, and I know that for a fact. All right, so let's get into some academic vocabulary. So in your book, you should see a page that kind of looks similar to this. Academic vocabulary is vocabulary that is specific to language arts and how it's used in language arts. Okay, so you may see these words other places, other classes, and they may be used a little bit differently, and that all depends on what class it is and what you're talking about. So I've made a PowerPoint that I want to go over with you that has all of the academic vocabulary for, I'm just going to leave that, you'll be okay, for this instructional unit, this unit 1. So our first one is aspect. So you see I have the word in the middle. That's our academic vocabulary word. Okay? Then over here at the top, I've got the definition. And an aspect is a characteristic or feature of something. So it's a part or a specific detail about something. Okay? So those are synonyms, part or detail. And remember that synonyms are words that mean the same thing as the vocab word. Okay? Over here we have antonyms, which are words that mean the opposite. So two words are generalization and whole. So we're looking not at the whole thing, but at just one little aspect, one little part, one little detail. Okay? And this comes from the word aspectus. That's a Latin word, and that means a view. So things have multiple views, and we're just looking at one. All right, so a related word is aspectual, okay, because you're just looking at one little aspect. And then a clarifying example is aspect used in a sentence. I looked at all the aspects of the problem. So I looked at every little detail that was a part of that problem. Okay. Next up we have cultural. So again, we have the vocab word in the middle. And that means relating to the ideas, customs, and social behavior of a society. So things that are cultural deal with your culture, the way that you were brought up, the customs and traditions that you have. So some synonyms or words that are similar are ethnic, racial, and lifestyle. So different people live in different ways, and that's a part of their culture. Some antonyms, or words that mean the opposite, are ignorance and inexperience. So just because you do something differently than someone else doesn't mean that you do it wrong. That person just isn't aware of the way that you do things. They're not experienced in the way that you do things. And the same goes for you. You're not experienced maybe in the way that they do things. This is a Latin word. It comes from the Latin word colere, meaning to nurture. So you are nurturing that sense of your identity by your lifestyle. Related words are customs and manners and traditions, all those things that build culture. And so our clarifying example, we studied our cultural heritage, so that just means that we're studying our background, we're studying our lifestyle, maybe thinking about the traditions that we have and why we do those things. All right, next up we have evaluate. So again, our vocab word's in the middle. The definition of that is to determine the importance or effectiveness of, or maybe to figure out the value of something. So synonyms, words that are similar, are assess, decide, and figure out. So we're trying to figure out the value. Antonyms would be neglect or forget about. So something you kind of put on the back burner, you're not going to evaluate that. This comes from the French word évaluer, maybe? and that means to see value. Some related words are rate or value or appraise. And if you'll notice here, value is kind of in the word evaluate. So that kind of gives you a hint as to what that word means. Okay, and then our clarifying example, or this in a sentence, is we need to evaluate our situation. We need to figure out what we need to do, where we need to go. So we need to figure it out. All right, and next, resource. Again, the vocab word is in the middle. The definition of resource is something that can be used for support or help. Some synonyms are ability and support. Some antonyms, words that are the opposite, are inability or weakness. So if you don't have resources, that's a weakness, right? This comes from the Latin word surgere, meaning to rise. So you're going to rise up and face that challenge. Some related words are aid, benefit, and help. And our clarifying example is computers are a valuable resource during our online learning. And that is true. All right, and last up we have text. I'm sure all of you know about this. Y'all love sending some text messages. So a text is written or printed words. Some words that are similar are content, passage, and wording. Some words that are opposite are ignorance and nothing. If you don't have text, then you have nothing. And this comes from the Latin word textus, meaning things woven. So you can kind of think of stories as things that are woven together through the text. Some related words would be book, draft, and of course, message. And then our clarifying example is we will be reading many different texts this year. So many different kinds of written/printed words. Okay? All right, so now let's go back to our website. We've gone over our academic vocabulary. Now, I wanted to let you guys know as we kind of get into our, let me move my box down. As we get into our unit, you guys will get more into your student workbook and answering questions and thinking about text and writing things down in that workbook. At the end of every story, we're gonna ask ourselves, what helps people rise up to face difficulties? And we're gonna keep a chart of each story, our answer to that question. That chart can be found on page R1 in the back of your student workbook. Again, that page is R1 in the back of your student workbook. You don't have to do anything with that today. I'll let you know when you need to do something with that. I just wanted you to know where it is. Okay? All right. If you have any questions, feel free to email me.